who's actually going to get the most out of a 3000 VA UPS for a gaming rig? If you're a streamer who runs dual monitors, a high-end graphics card, and a couple of external drives, the safety net of an uninterrupted power supply can feel like a lifesaver. On the other hand, if your gaming PC is really just a console hooked up to a TV, you'll probably be paying for protection you never need. And for the everyday buyer who just wants a little extra time to save a document before the lights go out, the question is whether the price makes sense compared with a smaller, less expensive unit. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's step back for a second. When you shop for a UPS, the big marketing headline 3000 VA, Sinewave output, smart app control can be easy to gloss over. But the real decision point is how you intend to use that power. In a typical gaming setup, you have a tower full of components that can draw a lot of juice, a 700W graphics card, a power-hungry CPU, several SSDs, and maybe a USB-C dock for streaming equipment. The moment the grid trips, those components all go from full throttle to dead in a blink. A Sinewave UPS, like the CyberPower PR3000RTXL2U, mimics the clean power you get from the wall, which means sensitive motherboard VRMs and high-end GPUs will stay stable until the backup battery runs out. That's the core value proposition, keeping your rig alive long enough to shut down safely and avoid data loss or corrupted game saves. Now, who should buy this thing? If you're a serious content creator who streams 4K video, runs recording software, and has multiple external hard drives constantly writing data, the extra minutes you gain from a 3000 VA unit are worth the $400 plus price tag. The UPS can sustain a full-load gaming rig for roughly 10 minutes, based on the 3000W rating, which is typically enough time to issue a graceful shutdown or switch to a standby generator. The fact that it comes with 8 NEMA 520R outlets and a dedicated L530R outlet also means you can plug in heavy-duty devices, think a high-end power supply or a professional audio interface, without worrying about overloading a single socket. If you're a casual gamer who runs a mid-range PC with a single monitor, a couple of USB peripherals, and maybe a headset, you'll likely find this UPS overkill. You could get away with a 1000 VA model that still gives you 5 to 6 minutes of backup time, and you'd save a few $100s. The same goes for anyone who lives in a region with stable power and only occasional brownouts. The risk of losing data or damaging hardware is lower, so the premium on a 3000 VA unit may not be justified. Let's talk about the practical strengths that actually show up when you plug this UPS into a real rig. First, the rotatable LCD panel is a subtle but handy touch. In a cramped desk setup, the display can be turned to face you even if the unit sits on a shelf behind the desk. The panel tells you battery percent, input voltage, and estimated runtime at the current load, all in real time. That eliminates the guesswork of how long will this last, and lets you plan your shutdown when the battery hits, say, 15%. The smart app integration is another genuine convenience. You can set alerts on your phone, get notifications if the UPS switches to battery mode, and even remotely initiate a shutdown of your PC through the CyberPower Power Panel software. For a streamer who needs to keep an eye on multiple systems, that remote control can prevent a sudden power loss that would otherwise end a live broadcast abruptly. Another practical advantage is the power factor of 1. In layman's terms, this means the UPS can deliver the full amount of power it's rated for without wasting any on reactive components. For a gaming PC that draws a lot of current in short bursts, like when you hit a graphics-intensive moment in a game, this ensures the UPS can keep up without tripping its own internal overload protection. Combine that with the fact that the unit includes a 3-year warranty covering both the UPS chassis and the batteries, and you get a safety net that offsets the higher upfront cost. The warranty's inclusion of the batteries is significant because battery degradation is often the first thing that fails in a UPS, and replacing those can be pricey. On the flip side, there are a few practical weaknesses you'll notice once you start using the thing. The biggest is the physical footprint. At 2U height and a full-size rack-mountable chassis, it takes up a decent amount of desk or rack space. If you have a compact desk or a small home server rack, you'll need to allocate a dedicated spot for the UPS, which might crowd out other equipment. Also, the unit is heavy over 70 pounds to accommodate the large battery bank. That's not a problem if you're setting it up once and leaving it in place, but moving it around for cleaning or rearrangement can be a chore.